Hello everyone, my name is Michael and I want to welcome you back to the Sovereign Gaming YouTube channel. The YouTube channel where I build worlds, lots, and also share my thoughts on video games that I enjoy. So today I am taking us back to SimCity. As I always do, it's the only series that I've got going on at the moment, so no surprise there. But we are certainly back in this rich neighborhood that is taking a lot of inspiration from the Hollywood Hills. Again, this neighborhood has yet to be named, so I will be running a poll that is going to ask what the name should be. I really think it should either be Pleasant View or Sunset Valley, just to keep true to the lore of The Sims. Going forward here, as the SimCity world is really based on the lore of The Sims in general and just kind of incorporating it all into one world. So yeah, that is a poll I will be running. Whether it should be named Pleasant View or Sunset Valley is certainly going to be the couple of options there that I would like to offer. So yeah, as you can see, I am continuing on doing a lot of lot work, and that's going to be the focus of this episode, is really getting the lots situated and fixed and all of that. And the reason why is that I really do want these lots to be the focal point of the hills, as opposed to the topography and the geography of it. So what I mean by that is that I plan to build some really extravagant mansions on these hills. This is again taking a lot of inspiration from the Beverly Hills and the Hollywood Hills areas. So there's a lot of like really beautiful mansions there, and I definitely want those to be the focus point of the neighborhood. Whether it's called Pleasant View or Sunset Valley is yet to be determined by you guys. But yeah, that is really the name of the goal there. I really do want people to just kind of look up at these hills and just kind of be in splendor of the different mansions that are up there and all of that. So yeah, that is really the idea there. And in order for the geography to kind of be contoured around these lots, I have to place these lots in first. Now, the four lots that I have sitting at the top there are really representative of the four different originating families within the Sims lore. Now, I may not be getting my lore absolutely correct in this, but I'm going to take a creative liberty here and say that these are the four founding families of the SimCity region as we know it, based on the Sims lore. And those four families would include the Crumplebottoms, the Goths, and the Landgrabs. And also I am throwing Altos in there as well. Even though the Altos are definitely like new money as opposed to old money like the other three families, I think that having the four of them just kind of sitting on top of the hillside there makes a lot of sense, in that there is a lot of in that they were the original founding families, and that they're rich and powerful and all that. Although representing like a hierarchy isn't exactly something that I necessarily feel great about. I also do want to give credit where it is due, and if you founded a city and a region and all that, you're going to obviously swipe up the best land for your own little home and likely develop it generationally as your family starts succeeding each other. So yeah, it is what it is, and I'm not changing on it. And yeah, that is the idea here going forward. That's not to say that Sims can't work their way up either. I've put in a couple of extra lots in there. I believe that they are also 64 by 64. Like, there are 3 additional lots there for mansions. I have yet to decide if I want to add in more mansion lots. At this time, I have worked ahead on this, and I have pretty much completed the this little hillside gated community. And right now I'm kind of thinking I don't want to add in any more lots than there are than what you see on screen already, except to add in like a little lookout point where I'll drop in the hot air balloon premium content there, just so that people can go on the air balloon and such, of which I do have plans for that. I do plan to have the hot air balloon object in a couple of other different spaces, not within the downtown core, but within the outskirts and within the rural neighborhoods as well. More details on that will be coming up soon. I'm not going to give too much away because I have some really nice surprises down the road for when we get into the rural builds. That's all I'm going to say on that. I'll also drop in a hot air balloon. I think I mentioned this earlier in the park of, in the big park of Blue Water Village that the hills are overseeing. It just kind of makes sense to go there as they slowly make their way into the rural areas. Again, more details on that will be revealed slowly. But yeah, I just put in a couple of extra lots for mansions. I didn't want to overload the hillside gated community with mansions. I just put in an extra 3 in there. I know myself and how I build houses when it comes to single family homes. So the single family homes that will end up getting built within the Blue Water Village suburban neighborhood are definitely going to be like upwards of 150,000 plus, and they're just going to be like bungalows and 2-story buildings. You'll see what I mean when I've actually got it completed and everything, because I fully furnished them and all of that. So that really contributes to the pricing there, and it's on a larger lot. And there's a full-on basement. Basements are completed usually. So yeah, the houses within Blue Water Village are already be quite expensive. And then the houses that are going to be on these on this hillside gated community are going to be astronomical in terms of prices, because when I create mansions, they turn out very expensive. Funny story, I was creating a mansion. Not going to give away the theme of it because I'm going to use it for the Goth mansion, but I was creating a mansion inspired by another mansion in another video game series, and it was I think that the game just glitched because it ended up being like $999 million, and that is like nuts in terms of like, you can't even motherload yourself to that much money. Luckily there's a cheat called free real estate that you can use, and that'll allow you to just like purchase whatever price of lot you need to purchase. But yeah, I think that the game glitched on me and it just like made it an impossible price because after like 999 million simoleons in the bank, you can't get up any more money than that, so it like goes into this wire transfer offshore bank account. It's explained in the Sims lore much better than what I'm doing it, and you can search it up yourself as well, because you can have too much money, it just gets transferred offshore apparently. That's what I remember it saying. Again, please don't quote me on it, just search it up. But yeah, my mansions get pretty expensive as well, so you'll certainly see that there being a big price difference. As you can tell, the roads are taking the longest time. It's because the roads are so difficult to work with, especially when you want to put in some curves and all that. So it's just one of those things that Create a World just doesn't do very well. Again, I'm not trying to complain, because to me it feels like this was a tool created on someone's overtime, and and I am really trying not to speak badly on a tool that has been extremely useful and it still holds up to this day somehow. So yeah, there is certainly that to speak on it, but yeah, the roads are taking a really long time. But I just also wanted to touch a little more about the SimCity economy and all of that. So with this world, I've kind of alluded to it before, but I've really designed this world to cater to all play styles. So if players want to live more rurally with their Sims, well, there are going to be lots that allow them to do that. They're into that farm life and all that jazz. Or if they're into like horseback riding, I'll make sure to offer opportunities to have that kind of gameplay. And yes, that is not necessarily a spoiler for the upcoming rural builds. So I've got a couple of interesting twists for that. But yeah, with SimCity, I really wanted it to be designed to offer the entire franchise's gameplay features within one world, so that you aren't having to jump to different kind of worlds just to access certain gameplay features, such as nightclubs, for example. That's a pretty intricate one, or even like the Showtime careers, because the Showtime careers are extremely underrated. And yeah, I make sure that there are opportunities to grow a Showtime career in this world. So yeah, the idea is to really offer players that flexibility and that kind of freedom within their playstyle, but I also wanted to introduce a little bit of an economy ladder, or an economic ladder, that players can use if they are interested in challenging their own playstyles. And what that really means is just like starting off yourself in low income areas or in the starter neighborhood in the downtown core. That's the biggest example here. And then just working your way up. Even in that starter neighborhood, there are houses that you can purchase that aren't necessarily within your grasp to purchase right when you leave the create a household after you finish creating a household. Like, you'll likely have to either buy a duplex of some kind or go into a smaller apartment and then work your way up through a career before actually purchasing a bungalow with a basement. So that was all intended. The idea there, again, is to really create that economic ladder that players can use if they are really wanting to go and do a rags to riches playthrough. There's also the idea of doing houseboats. Right now, you can there's a port within the Sin City Harbor neighborhood. You can have like a rusty bucket houseboat just kind of sitting in the harbor there doing its thing. Or, you know, eventually I will put in some more ports. Again, I'm not gonna spoil it just because I want to make sure that it's actually done before I promise anything. But yeah, the idea with SimCity is really to create that economic ladder so you can do rags to riches gameplays. And yeah, this mansion district is certainly one of them. And you can tell because the roads are customized to really try to fit each of the lots. It's on a hillside. It's got the best views in the region, I would say. And yeah, you really feel like you're in a gated community when you are driving up to this hillside. And you'll want a faster car, which is what the more expensive cars do anyways. They just run a little faster. And of course, they're designed as brand name sports cars and whatnot. But yeah, faster cars are certainly something that you'll actually want in this world because there's a bit of a distance between the hillside gated community and the downtown core, for example, or even into the rural neighborhoods. So yeah, that was some of the ideas that I had here in terms of the economic structure of SimCity and what I want to offer players within this world. I'm really not sure on how I feel about this mountain tool that I'm using. Like, I really like some of the bumps and some of the ridges that it creates. Like, it looks okay. But I always feel like I really have to smooth it out in order for it to look a little more realistic. Now, granted, there are such a thing as like more jagged hillsides and all of that. I get that that exists in the world, but for this this gated community, whether it's called Pleasant View or Sunset Valley, is yet to be determined. But for that neighborhood, I didn't feel like I really wanted such jagged mountains and all that. I'm not entirely sure I'm in love with the jaggedness of it all, so that's why I really went back to smooth some of those hills and mountains and plateaus, I suppose. It's just because it just didn't look right to me. And I'm also not entirely sure that I want to paint it a different color of texture either. I might just leave them as being green, grassier cliff sides. Again, I'm really unsure on it. This is just me not being confident with working with geography and topography and whatnot. And even though the tools in Create a World aren't the worst, they also aren't the best either when it comes to working with geography. So again, like, whether it looks nice or not is kind of subjective. I mean, okay. Let me be fair. I just need to use a reference and just kind of see what other people have done for hillsides and whatnot. It's just that it's very hard to determine within the Create a World tool without booting it up in the editing game mode or exporting it. And exporting it is certainly out of the question right now because exporting your world is... It's happened to me every time I've had to export a world. It is a bit of a circus, let me just say that. And it doesn't make it easy. And with all of these new updates to the EA app, I am just not looking forward to it. Not one bit. So the last thing I'm going to do is really export this world or do too much crazy stuff with the Create a World tool, just because, you know, at this point, I don't want to lose all of my progress. So yeah, I'm kind of holding off on that, but it's like really unfortunate that I can't just run the editing game mode just to see if these hills are translating properly or not, because you kind of get a better idea when you do the editing game mode. And so yeah, you'll just have to watch me struggle through all the cliff sides and all of that. And of course, if you have any tips or suggestions, just drop a comment with those suggestions below. I haven't got this world up exported yet, and I am definitely going to keep my ears out for what kind of feedback that you guys have before I do some final edits before exporting the world. And right now, as I am recording this voiceover, I am nowhere near exporting the world. Yeah, I'm close-ish. Like, I think I might be able to export the world before winter time or just in the beginning of winter, but yeah, it's not something that is on the agenda anytime soon. At this point, I'm just finishing up with some smoothing with the rest of this neighborhood here. I am going to cut to a couple of tours in a moment, so please stick around for that, for what the gated hillside mansion community really looks like, and whether we should call it Sunset Valley or Pleasant View. Both names fit, in my opinion. I just want a little bit of community input to just kind of gauge what I should actually officially name it within my SimCity world, and I'm happy to kind of put that to the community. Anyways, I just wanted to thank you so much for watching. I hope that you have enjoyed this episode, and if you have, then feel free to like and subscribe if you want. I'm more interested in hearing what you have to say though, so if you felt any kind of way with whatever I'm doing, then again, just feel free to leave a comment if you'd like. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have yourself a wonderful day.